Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome back to the Airbus A321. Today we are going to fly from VerticalSim's brand new Southwest Florida airport over to Philadelphia. At this point, thank you very much to VerticalSim for providing me a review copy of the airport to feature it on this flight. Now, before we get into it, I would like to address a small word from today's sponsor, Say Intentions AI. If you're looking for an air traffic control add-on that's not only capable of doing ATC but also stuff like data link and providing you with a couple of very nice gimmicks such as a cabin crew simulation who actually know where you are flying, how long you will fly, and put all of this into their PAs, then go ahead and check out Say Intentions. We will be using them in today's flight as well, so if you like what you hear, use the link in the video description or the pinned comment below. And now, let's get right into it. And with that, welcome aboard our Airbus A321. Now, the A321 is configured in a lovely business class configuration down here. I am just amazed how superb the cabin and, in general, the Phoenix Airbuses look. I mean, let's face it, that's just so great, isn't it? And you even do have some premium economy seats over here, pretty much like the actual American configuration. I really do like that. Now, getting into the cockpit, we will find even more details, so I really just have to say that's a brilliant job from the painter. Now, we are flying the 7500th Airbus A320 livery today, so you can grab that right from the Phoenix livery manager. Well, and here we are, so let's take a seat. And just look at all those custom stickers in here. It just looks so cool. Brings the airplane to a completely different level, doesn't it? Just feels alive, really. And that's just so cool. Alright, with that out of the way though, let's go ahead and have a look at what we're actually going to do today and import our flight plan from SimBrief. So starting with our flight plan down here, we can start with the weather charts. And as you can see, it's a little turns left and right, basically following the US coastline all the way up. Looking into the weather down here, we have this little outline over here, which is the number 2, and that is moderate turbulence up to flight level 400. Not much we can do to circumvent those. A couple of CBs along the shoreline over here, and well, apart from that, we do expect a smooth flight, at least for the descent into Philadelphia. Now, if we go into the weather itself, we can see lots of SIGMETs already. Oh yes, summer is approaching rapidly, and summer in Florida is always fun. One more reason to check out the Fort Myers scenery. Now, Southwest Florida, as you can see, has a couple of those summery features. You do have some haze over here, you do have CBs in the forecast, and, well, typical Florida, my friends. Now, Philadelphia is looking pretty good overall, and our destination alternate is JFK, which has awesome weather conditions. Now, with that in mind, let's go right into the OFP and decide on the fuel quantity that we want to take for today's service. You can see standard is about 20,500 pounds. And, well, the question is, do we need any extra on top of that? And my honest answer is I don't expect arrival delays in Philadelphia, but what happens rather often over there is that they make your descent a little bit earlier. For this reason, I do want to take a bit on top, let's say fuel for about 10 minutes, so that's about 1,000 pounds. So if we depart at, well, 21.5, that should be more than fine for today's service. So let's go to the mass and balance, 21,500. Passengers and cargo are looking good. Apply and load, and we will be using GSX for that. Now, the GSX profile for the airport is provided by the developer, so that should actually be tailored perfectly to the actual scenery that we are using. And look at that, someone actually convinced the fuel truck guys to do some work. I like that, and they're actually arriving over the roads. That's something that we don't see often. I still remember the times when those vehicles spawned on the runways and then drove across the taxiway to the parking position. Good old times, GSX. In any case, over here the profile has everything correct, so I'm really looking forward to take her flying. Well, and with that out of the way, let's get right into the preliminary cockpit preparation. So that's engine master levers off, start selector norm, weather radar is off and off. Then the landing gear lever is down and the wiper selectors are off. The battery is on, the external power is not available today. We are running on the APU, which we would be doing anyway since it's 28 degrees outside. And then we can already go ahead and start to do a little bit of setup work down here. So we'll start with our frequencies. So Southwest Florida, airport chart. What do we have down here? Delivery 132075. And here we go, and that one's active. Listening to that, we'll turn up VHF2 as well and make sure that these speakers are actually turned up like this and like this. Very good, so let's do the fire test. And that's looking very good. Well, and then the IRS node selectors, I'll just turn them off and back on again within 5 seconds so that we do a quick alignment. Cockpit lights are set as needed, basically off. Now let's do the EFB setup, and over here we do have our weather. So Fort Myers runway 06, synchronize preliminary load sheet, synchronize the latest weather, and calculate. And just to be safe, I will take wet figures down here, which gives us a flaps 2 takeoff. Performance limited takeoff weight 218.3. which we are well below, so that should be fine. Now, rather high takeoff speeds here, but that's going to be okay for us. Alright, very good. So let's go for the aircraft's technical acceptance. That's going to be the recall for 3 seconds. And here we go. That is normal. There is nothing in the logbook. The aircraft is an A321 with IAE engines and sharklets, and we don't have any OEBs. So performance is done, then we can just check our operating fluids, and we got 1800 psi oxygen, hydraulic is full, and oil is full. So the speed brakes are up, agree with the levers, and then we can release that parking brake since we are on the chocks, and just check the brakes. And a quick look at the temperatures, which are basically outside temperature, so we can set the parking brake again. Alright, looking very good. That's the preliminary cockpit preparation completed. Then we can go right into the cockpit preparation itself. So voice recorder is tested. Down here, let's see, refueling is still in progress, so we'll leave the seatbelts off for now. So fire test. Looking good on number 1, and also looking good on number 2. Nothing to do up here. You are already recording the PAs. Wonderful. Then let's see. QNH is 3008. Here we go. That's set. And it's the 29th of May 2025. Looking good. So down here everything is set. The GCS can go on auto and the gain and calibrated. We'll also turn on the hazards down here. Everything's set here, everything's set here, and with all of those out of the way, let's go right into the FMS setup. We'll start with the ATSU and just go to ALC menu, flight initialization and data request, and just wait until the ACAS has initialized down here. Once it has, we'll turn to the FMS. So, aircraft status, A321-200 with the IAE V2500 engine, nav database up to date, and scratchpad messages checked. Now to the init, where we can do the flight plan request, and then let's have a first look at our flight plan. So we'll be the American 1886 today. Like this, cost NX30, flight level 350, and the temperature up there, let's see, is minus 46 degrees with the tropopause in 48,000. That has already updated, perfect. Okay, ground temperature 28, we can enter that one as well. And then flight plan, so departing from Fort Myers, runway 06, Seashell 7 departure, and we are going to follow this all the way to the gap. Alright, and insert. Now for the arrival into Philadelphia with an ILS approach to runway 27 right. And our arrival is going to be the GIMS 4 arrival from ZJ. So GIMS 124, ZJ, insert. Alright, now let's go ahead and have a look at our SID, and if everything's been entered correctly, Seashell 7 departure. Our runway 06 is simply on a 058 heading, and we're going to receive radar vectors towards Seashell. Okay. So let's take a look. And we have 058 heading, and then via Seashell, Begout, Pushback, Smelts, and Gynos. So we have Seashell, Begout, Pushback, Smelts, Gynos, and then we are going to continue via Itori, Feman, and Vijap. And that's exactly what we've got in our plan as well. Engine out is going to be fairly easy, straight at 25 miles, okay, RSW06/058/25 miles. And we do want to hold over there at 058 inbound, right-hand turns, 1 minute lag time. That's perfect, and then immediate return is going to be back to Fort Myers. So let's insert that down here, arrival, ILS approach runway 06. And that's it. Now let's put the same thing into the fix info. Okay, RSW06 and 058, and then the PVD point that we just created down here. Perfect. Now on to the performance in it, and I think we're going to fill this out straight from the preliminary load sheet. Talking about which, we have received a couple of them. Let's ignore the first and take the second. Edition number 2, American 1886 on the 29th of May, Fort Myers to Philly on the 934 Alpha Alpha, which is our airplane. Okay, so 152.5. And let's see about the CG, 29. That is looking good. So fuel should be 21.5. Let's insert that. And fueling is actually finished, so we'll turn the seatbelts on as well, and then we can have another look into the flight plan and the fuel section. And down here we have an ultimate fuel of 3.1 and a final of 2.8. So 3.1 shouldn't be negative, by the way, and 2.8. Alright, so let's see about the wind component. I think it's going to be some significant tailwind. Yep, 31 knots on average. So T31. Alright, now on to the init page, wind data and request. And then we can move on to the performance page. And down here we've got flaps 2 at 56 degrees flex. So 2 at 56. And the speeds are going to be 50, 65, 65. Alright, transition altitude 18,000, reduction in 1,000, acceleration in 1,500. No, I don't like that. Let's do 1,000, 1,000. Engine out, acceleration 1,500 is good. We don't need to pre-select anything. Clean speed 228 by the looks of it. And finally, KRSW06. And that's it. Optimum 350, cruising 350. Wonderful. Cool. So 3008 can be dialed in over here as well. Let's have another look at the chart. Top altitude, runway 6, 4,000. I'll put in 4,100 until we receive our final clearance. Okay, ground for flight deck. Mind your ears, oxygen test. Perfect, and that's our entire setup completed. So before we go into the briefing and all that stuff, let's go ahead and actually grab the ATIS and our clearance. So D8 is 124.65.
Using feet. Solid overcast at 10,000 feet. Temperature 28. Dew point 22. Altimeter 3008. Density altitude 1400 feet. Arriving and departing runway 6, advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested. Read VEC runway and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact, you have information Yankee. Southwest Florida International Airport, information Yankee. 1838 Zulu. Wind 065 at 7. Visibility 10. Sky conditions, few at 2,000 feet. Broken at 5,000 feet. Solid overcast at 10,000 feet. Temperature 28. Dew point 22. Altimeter 3008. Density altitude 1400 feet. Arriving and departing runway 6, advise on course heading.
Okay, we've heard the rest. So then let's go ahead and get our clearance, and that's gonna be on Fort Myers delivery. Fort Myers delivery, American 1886, information Yankee, request clearance to Philly. Let's see if they understood that.
1 second while I grab the paperwork.
Okay, looks like they understood it. So, estimated arrival fuel is 8, that's perfect, so 19 minutes extra, pretty much what I wanted.
American 1886, cleared to Philadelphia via the Seashell 7 departure, then as filed, climb and maintain 4,000. Expect flight level 35010 minutes after departure. Departure on 124.125, squawk 4335. Expect runway 6.
American 1886 is cleared to Philadelphia via the Seashell 7 departure, runway 6, climb 4,000 feet, 350, 10 minutes after departure, 124.125, squawk 4335.
American 1886, read back correct.
Alright, that is looking good. So 4,000 feet is up here. We have runway 6 and the Seashell 7 departure. 350, 10 minutes after, okay, 124, 125. Tell you what, let's dial that up in the third radio. 124, 125 as a reminder.
Manual, boarding has started and the first passengers are aboard the plane.
Thanks. And then the squawk 4335.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard American Airlines Flight 1886, heading to Philadelphia. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Please take your seats according to your boarding passes and stow your hand luggage in the overhead bins or under the seats in front of you. If you need any help, don't hesitate to reach out to any of the crew members. We're here for you. Enjoy your flight.
Alright, then let's go ahead and say hello to our passengers as well. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name's Emmanuel. In the name of American Airlines, I'd like to welcome you aboard Flight 1886 towards Philadelphia on this Airbus A321. Today's flight time will be about 2 hours. We expect some turbulences as we are crossing some strong winds en route. Nonetheless, sit back, relax, make yourself comfortable, and if there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask any of our channel cabin crew. Alright, so cabin is briefed. Looks like our board, or our loading at least, seems pretty much completed. Then let's use the moment and start with our briefing. And we can clean all of that stuff up over here. Alright, cool. So, this is going to be a departure from Fort Myers, runway 06, Seashell 7 departure, initial to 4,000, the MSA is 2,600, and we have an extra fuel and time of 1,400 pounds, 19 minutes. Thank you very much for that. So, we don't have any hotspots for our taxi routing. The departure itself is going to be on the runway heading. In case of an engine failure, we're going to do the very same thing. Stop margin is very little today. Nonetheless, we calculated a wet runway. For the moment it's dry, but that can change any moment. Now, as briefed, engine outset straight at 25 miles and climbing 3,000. That keeps us safe above the MSA over here. Radar vectors back to runway 06 for the ILS approach if an immediate return is needed. We are above the maximum landing weight, if I'm not totally mistaken. Let's check that real quick. No? Yeah, well, 2,000 pounds above it, so basically by the time we come back, it's going to be just about at the maximum landing weight, so no need to run any special procedures here. If it's burning, then we can do a visual pattern, otherwise we just follow the EOSID, take radar vectors, take the time to run all necessary procedures, and then come back. Now, I have nothing special or non-standard for this departure. However, in terms of threats, we do have the possibility for some VFR traffic in the area. If there's one thing I figured in my time flying to Florida in the real world, it's regardless how bad the weather forecast is, chances are you will find some VFR. And that is also because a lot of commercial traffic seems to be operating VFR in the area. So, well, there is always that. However, apart from that, I don't have anything. Anything from your side? No? Alright, beautiful. Cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers, removed. Fuel quantity is 21,440 pounds. Seatbelts on, ADRs. Nav and Bajo reference, QNH 3008. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. So we don't need this anymore. Oh, look at that. It once again didn't remember the standby frequency. That's also a bug in the Phoenix. Well, 124, 125. We gotta remember that. Is it on the chart by any means? That would make our life a lot easier. No, of course it isn't. Or? Well, no, it should have been 1268, but alright, that's fine. 124, 125. Remember that somehow. Let's see if it remembers standby frequency in here, in VHF2. 124, 125. No, it doesn't either. It just changes the standby frequencies. Oh god, what a useless bug. Then we gotta do it this way. I don't like doing this, because in the real world you absolutely wouldn't, but that's what it seems to be then. So, they are closing the doors. That means the load sheet should hopefully have arrived. And indeed, here it is. So, let's see. In compliance with edition number 2, zero fuel weight, 153.8. That's quite a bit heavier. So we gained like 1,000... What's that? Yeah, 1,300 pounds on top, 181 plus 4. Takeoff weight 174.8. Let's see about the CG, still 29. Alright, 124.9 is correct. CG 28.8. Let's accept this. And it's again deleted my scratchpad. Something does not want me to remember my departure frequency today. I see that coming. Alright though, let's tell GSX to start to prepare the position for pushback and departure. And then, let's just redo the performance figures here. It doesn't really look like it's gonna start to rain anytime soon, is it? What about this over there? Wind is coming from this direction. Yeah, okay, it might start to rain. We'll keep the wet runway, just for the sake of it. So synchronize final load sheet, calculate, and that's now flaps 2, down trim 0.1, 55. So we have 2, 55 slash 0.1 down. Okay, and the new speed's 51, 66, 66. Okay, excellent. So that's everything done. Then let's go ahead and tell them that we are ready for push and start. Now, the big question, of course, we are in the US and we're probably pushing onto a ramp, so I suppose we don't need pushback clearance here. Nonetheless, I'm going to do the same thing that I would do in the real world here. And, oh, down here it is, ramp procedures, okay. All carriers use ramp procedures as pre-strapped in by airport operations. We are sitting on Delta 5. Do we have anything here? Proceed to call spot number 3, so that's up here, okay. And all outbound traffic request taxi instructions. So, departures must obtain approval from ground control prior to pushback from gates. Ours is not on here, so we don't need approval for pushback. So we just call him for taxi. Okay, fine. We can do that. Ground for flight deck. So, please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment removed and the bypass pin is installed. All confirmed, Captain. Thanks, and we are ready to push. Parking brake is set. Roger. So let's do the common pushback. And the parking brake is released.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard American Airlines flight
So before start checklist, parking brake off, takeoff cleats on thrust.
We got a smooth ride
V1
ahead of us,
151,
covering
VR 166,
864
V2
miles in about 2
166.
hours and 4
Windows
I'm Deshaun Williams, your lead flight
closed,
attendant,
and the bacon
and I'm here with
is
my awesome crew,
on and tasty.
Sarah,
Before start
Mike,
checklist
and
complete.
Jessica. Our captain today is Emmanuel, and our first officer is. Now, let's get into some important safety info, eh? First
Alrighty.
off, please make sure your seatbelts are fastened low.
So in the real
tight
world,
across
you'd
your
really
back.
only be allowed to start the
Don't
engines
buckle,
once you've
just lift the
completed the
buckle,
push
you're free to
in
move around. In case
Fort
of an
Myers.
emergency, oxygen
However,
masks will
since
drop
it
down from
just
above.
takes a long time with those IAEs, I will
Place it
just
over
do
your
it
nose and
now.
mouth and breathe normally. Don't worry about yourself first, eh? Make sure to secure your mask before helping others. And if we need to use the life vests, they're located under your seats. To use them, pull the vest out, slip it over your head, and pull the straps around your waist. Inflate it by pulling the red tabs or by blowing into the tube. You can also deflate it by pressing the button. We have emergency exits located at the front, over the wings, and at the back of the aircraft. In the event of an emergency, follow the lights to the nearest exit. And remember, it's always good to know where your exits are, right? So sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. Oh, and after our snack service, we'll be selling some cool stuff from the American Airlines shop. All right, Emmanuel, the cabin is ready for departure.
Alright, thanks. So, that looks like a good start in engine number 1. We are starting engine number 2. Clear 2. And avail. Wonderful, engine 2 start. So let's see if they're pulling us forward to that spot number 3. But I don't think so. I think we're going to stay over here. So parking brake is set. And we can absolutely close that up. I really like those VerticalSim's sceneries for Florida, Tampa, and now this one as well. They just look pretty good. And yeah, I absolutely gotta say, this looks quite similar to the Southwest Florida airport that I know. Alright, we have 2 good engine starts. Clear disconnect, show me the pin on the left side, please. Have a wonderful day. Bye now. Okay, so there's the clear signal. After start checklist. Anti-ice, off, ECAM status, checked, pitch trim, that's 28.8%, rudder trim, neutral, after start checklist complete. So flight control track, full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudder please. Full left, full right, neutral. So then, let's see, ground is on 1 to 1.9. Fort Myers ground, American 1886, request taxi.
1886, taxi to runway 6 via Golf 2, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 1.
Taxi to runway 6 via Golf 2, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 1, American 1886. Okay, clear on the left side, clear on the right side, and the taxi is straight at Golf 2, Foxtrot, Foxtrot 1. So, brake check, pressure 0. Okay, straight at, and then a left-hand turnout. And just to ensure that we are all on the same page, we can go straight out to the end and then to the left. I like that. Alright, so let's ensure that we clear the apron, and once we clear, then we can do the checklists. Still waiting for the cabin anyway. The left and right are clear. And that's Foxtrot over there. Very nice taxiway textures here. I do like those quite a lot. On the other end side, the water, I don't know. Is that supposed to be puddles? Hi, Emmanuel in the machine room.
The cabin is now secure for takeoff.
Thank you very much. Alright, so all the way straight to the end. In terms of the takeoff briefing, I have no changes. Let's just recalculate what we'd get for a dry runway, just to see if there's any change. So we had 55 degrees flex beforehand, then it would be 56, and even higher takeoff speeds. No, we'll stick to the wet figures. I think that's the safer course of action here. Okay, taxi checklist please. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, config 2, radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto, engine start selector, norm, ECA memo, takeoff, no blue, taxi checklist complete. So, tower will be on 12875. Fort Myers Tower, American 1886, ready for departure.
American 1886, Fort Myers Tower, runway 6, winds 345 at 3. RNAV Seashell, cleared for takeoff.
RNAV Seashell, runway 6, cleared for takeoff, American 1886. Okay, so RNAV to Seashell is of course an interesting instruction, since we are supposed to fly on the runway heading, but let's see what departure is going to say about that. So, cabin crew, prepare for departure. Lineup checklist, takeoff runway, that's 06 full length, TCAS, TARA, PAX 1 and 2, off, lineup checklist complete. Ready for rolling?
On runway 06.
Let's go, takeoff. Manflex 55, SRS, runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. One on the knots, checked. climb. Gear up. Nav. And pull heading. Heading. Autopilot 1. A little turbulent it seems.
American
First climb,
1886,
autothrust.
contact departure.
Open to departure, American 1886. Open climb. Interesting. We definitely had the acceleration altitude set to 1000, but it still did it in 1500s. Not supposed to be like that. That's a bug right there. Okay, flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Fort Myers departure, American 1886, passing 2200, climbing 4000.
American 1886, Fort Myers departure, radar contact, climb and maintain flight level 210.
Climb and maintain flight level 210, American 1886. Flap 0. Speed check. Flap 0. So acceleration flow pattern is done. Let's see if he's eventually going to take us onto a vector, or if we are just going to continue like this now. I could actually imagine both, because tower set on off to seashell, while it should have been fly runway heading, according to this departure. It does seem a little turbulent here, which is absolutely unsurprising, seeing those clouds. There's definitely some energy in this, and I think I'm going to ask for a vector through this. American 1886, request heading 020 to avoid weather.
American 1886, heading 020, approved to avoid weather.
Heading 020 approved, American 1886. So that takes us right through the gap, I hope. So we don't need the chronometer here anymore. It's really too bad that we don't have weather radar in the Phoenix yet, or a proper radar, a proper weather radar in any flight sim aircraft. That would be really useful on a day like this. So I think this is looking good. American 1886, request heading 350.
American 1886, say again your request.
American 1886, request heading 350 to avoid weather.
American 1886, heading 350, approved to avoid weather.
Heading 350 approved, American 1886. The reason I didn't ask for a seashell yet is because of that cloud on the left. I don't want to go through this if we can avoid it. And I think this current heading will lead us just to the right of it, which may be the right course of action over here. One thing you have noticed as well is that I just started the turn without actually waiting for ATC to answer. We would often do that if we were flying.
American 1886, climb and maintain flight level 260.
Climb and maintain flight level 260, American 1886. This is actually something that we would occasionally do, just because it takes ATC a little while to respond, and if you don't wait for that, then it just makes your life, you know, a little bit easier flying in between all those clouds. American 1886, request heading 360 to avoid weather. Just to get through that gap over here.
Dear your
American
guests. We have just
1886,
climbed
heading
above the safe
360,
altitude.
approved to avoid weather.
Heading 360 approved American 1886.
Or Wi-Fi service.
Also, let's just
a reminder,
pull that
we'll be
speed
coming
here,
around
make
with
it
some snacks and
270
drinks shortly.
in
Enjoy
order
the
to get
flight.
on top of this as quick as possible. So, passing 10,000, the lights remain on, the signs remain
Ladies and gentlemen,
on.
welcome aboard American Airlines Flight 1886, heading to Philadelphia. We got a smooth ride ahead of us, covering 864 miles in about 2 hours.
Okay, so that's
Our
looking
captain
good,
today is Emmanuel.
and then
First
let's
officer
go
is
ahead
Jacob.
and
Joining me in the cabin are my
delete any of
fantastic
this.
crew members, Lisa, Mike, and Sarah. We're all here to make your flight as comfortable as possible.
And copy the active over
Now
here,
let's go over some
and then we've got an
important
optimum
safety information,
350,
alright?
cruise
First
350, and the
Please
rest
make
is
sure
looking
your
good.
seatbelts are fastened low and
Okay.
tight across your lap. To unbuckle, just lift the buckle. You're free to move around.
Good.
In case of
So,
an emergency,
with that we're up and on the way.
drop down.
We are almost clear of weather.
Place it over your nose and mouth and breathe normally. Don't worry about yourself first. Make sure to secure your mask before helping others.
And I think once we're past this, we can actually call clear and tell them we're able to fly.
Pull the vest out, slip
I
it
don't
over
know,
your head,
any of these
and
would
pull the
probably
straps around
work.
your waist. Inflate it by pulling the red tabs or by blowing into the tube.
Yep.
You can also deflate it.
American 1886, request to proceed direct smells.
And at the back of the aircraft. In the event of an emergency, follow the lights to the nearest exit. And remember, it's always good to know where your exits
American
are.
1886,
So sit
proceed
back,
direct
relax,
smells
and
approved.
enjoy the flight.
Proceed direct smells, American 1886.
The American Airlines shop. All right, Emmanuel.
So,
the cabin is
smells
ready for
and
departure.
insert. Now don't ask me why the cabin just repeated their safety announcement. So, climb enough and back into managed speed as well. So we'll just fly past this, then we can release our passengers. And I think with that we are nicely on the way. So we don't have CPDLC over here in this aircraft.
American 1886, climb and maintain flight level 320.
Climb and maintain flight level 320, American 1886. So 32,000 blue. We don't have CPDLC in this airplane nor in the US, so for the time being, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight to Philadelphia.
Descend and maintain 7,000.
American 1886, descend and maintain 7,000. So my friends, you've heard it. We are now on the way into Philadelphia, passing 16,000 at the moment, and we've just gotten our clearance down to 7,000. Let's take a little moment to speak about what exactly we are doing right now and what we're going to do for our landing. First things first though.
1886, contact Philadelphia approach on 123.8.
123.8, American 1886. Philadelphia approach, American 1886, passing 14,500, descending 7,000.
American 1886, Philadelphia Philadelphia approach. Good afternoon, Philadelphia, altimeter 29.907. Expect the ILS runway 27 right approach into Philadelphia.
Altimeter 29.907, expect ILS 27 right into Philadelphia, American 1886. Okay, perfect. We are 2997 now, and then we can have a look into the approach. We are following the arrival, the GIMS 4 arrival, onto the downwind, and then we are eventually going to get radar vectors to the ILS approach runway 27 right. We did already plan our landing, nonetheless let's go ahead and run the latest figures over here. Landing weight, let's say 162. And this is what it gives us, 7,333 feet, vacating the runway rather close to the end. And I am absolutely happy with that. Alright, then let's see, temperature is 21 degrees, so we don't need to turn on any anti-ice. And if we just have a look at the weather, we can see it's currently 2208, 22 degrees. They say altimeter 3000 in here, we'll see about that. Alright, let's go for the approach briefing, please. Thanks, so MSA 2600, following the GIMS 4 arrival for an ILS approach runway 27 right. The minimum is 211, and in case of the go-around, let's see that over here, straight at 1500, right turn inbound to Medina, climbing 3000. And that's it. Now, in terms of extra fuel and time, let's have a look what the FMS tells us. And it tells us 28 minutes, 2,100 pounds. Alright, thank you for that. Now, we are going to fly this approach with flight director guidance, config full, maximum reverse, and we vacate the runway to the right hand side. I don't see any hotspots for the taxi in, and I have, well, a stop margin of about 2,000 feet. There is nothing non-standard, there is nothing special for this approach. So, do you have any threats? Nope? Perfect, me neither. And that's our approach briefing completed. Then we're approaching 10,000, so the lights should already have been on since 18. Signs are on. Constraints, LS on both sides. And then we do have GPS primary with the mode selector in norm. Perfect. Let's just take a quick moment to say bye-bye to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, your captain speaking. We've started our descent to Philly. Temperature is 23 degrees, a little bit cloudy as you can see outside the aircraft already. Apart from that, the weather is good though, and we'd like to thank you very much for choosing American for today's flight. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and look forward to welcoming you again soon. Alrighty, and that's it. So, I really don't know how long our vectors are going to be. I do expect them somewhere over at M-Court. Let's see about it. We'll just keep following the vertical profile here. If ATC wanted us lower, they would have told us so. In general, they are pretty good in the US. If they want you to do anything, they're gonna tell you to. So we really don't need to worry about that one. Alright, so far so good for the time being. Then let's go ahead and do the approach checklist, please. That's barrel reference, altimeter 2997, seatbelts on, minimum, baro 211, auto brake, low, engine start selector, norm, approach checklist complete. I like it. That's how easy those things have to be. So 1,000 to go. And I'll tell you what, activate approach phase. We'll just let the speed slowly bleed back. Speed, vertical speed. And that's 1,000 to go. Probably radar vectors after M-Court, I guess. But we'll see about it. This one might be a little bit turbulent, especially since we will be turning to the right in a few
American
moments.
1886, descend and maintain 4,000 vectors for the ILS runway 27 right approach.
American 1886, descend and maintain 4,000 vectors ILS 27 right. Thrust idle, open descent out 4,000 blue. Alright, let's just help it a little
American
bit here.
1886, 6 miles from Martin. Turn left heading 315, descend and maintain 3000 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 27 right approach.
American 1886, turn left heading 315, descend and maintain 3000 until established, cleared ILS 27 right. Okay, that was pretty easy. Full speed brake, and extend the center line please. And we can do that from Martin. Let's see, 268, so 088 is the opposite. Alright, that's looking good. Insert. And no, you are not supposed to go to nav mode. So, heading 315, that's looking better. So, spoilers coming back in. Hi, Emmanuel in the machine room.
The cabin is now secure for landing.
Thanks. Alright, so that heading is actually looking quite okay. We do receive the localizer already, not the glide slope yet, so let's just arm lock blue, and that's 1000 to go. Managed speed. Glide slope alive. Cathode dual, autopilot 1 and 2, block star, glide slope blue. So we're actually doing pretty well. I'm quite happy with that. Let's see, tower probably gonna be 118.5. Here we go, pre-selected. So, flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Block. And
American 1886, contact Philadelphia Tower on 118.5.
118.5, American 1886. Philadelphia Tower, American 1886, ILS 27 right. Flaps 2. Speed checked. Flaps 2.
American 1886, Philadelphia Tower, roger, continue approach.
Continue approach, American 1886. Let's do something like 170 knots or so. 170 selected. Speed, glide slopes down. And go around altitude 3000 set. So let's see, ground is going to be 12165. So far so good, nicely established. I like it. This is really easy going. Glide slope. Lovely view on Philadelphia on the right hand side there. Let's see, can we see Battleship New Jersey? She should be somewhere on anchor over here.
Winds 240 at 10, runway 27 right, cleared to land.
Runway 27 right, clear to land, American 1886. Okay, managed speed. Well, New Jersey should be somewhere over here. We'll see about her. Okay. So, gear down. So, against Phoenix official recommendations, I did actually put the turbulence to realistic. Let's see how that's gonna feel. Flaps 3. Speed checked, flap 3. And flaps full. Speed checked, flaps full. Landing checklist. Ecam memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. I just really love the views going into Philly over here. Especially when going over the naval yard. This is just something that you don't see every day. And again, flying over the river is so incredibly beautiful. And why am I talking about all this? Well, because the weather really doesn't seem to pose any challenge today.
1000.
Checked. I barely need to do any inputs on the stick at all. Is that an aircraft carrier down here? It is, huh? Nice.
Approaching 27 right.
Intentionally. I had to take a screenshot of that. Now, for now, let's focus on the landing.
500.
Land. So a little thermal over here. To make sure not to overcorrect. Checked.
Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. Drive.
Lovely. Hey, spoilers, reverse green, decel. Of course we get a little bit of lag since we're on a runway. Welcome to FS24. And here we go again, back to low speed and back to good frames.
1,200 meters remaining.
American 1886, welcome to Philadelphia. Contact ground on 121.9er.
121.9, American 1886. So we're going to vacate first, call the ground second. Philadelphia ground, American 1886. Request taxi to gate Charlie 29.
American 1886, taxi to C2 via Tango Juliet. Have a good day.
Taxi Charlie 29, Tango Juliet, American 1886. Okay. So Tango is up here, Juliet is the first to the right. In the real world, they would have given you these spots over here, so spot 5, for example, for the position where we currently are, and then over there you would call the ramp and they would clear you all the way into the gate. In the sim, we don't have that. That's fine. Okay, so after landing checklist, radar and predictive winch shear off, after landing checklist complete. We're looking for Charlie 29. GSX, however, is looking for nothing. So let's restart Throttle. So there's the Charlie terminal, 29 is just over here, so we can continue straight ahead for a little bit. Over here. So, start the APU, please. Okay, so we're approaching November. That is over here, so we continue one terminal further, and then on the edge over there. Let's see if we can get some parking assistance, maybe. Doesn't look like it, huh? Unbelievable, this thing. So for a moment I thought about doing single engine taxi, but I tell you what, we are so heavy. So, Charlie 29, no follow me needed. Handling by American. Alright, and here it is. So, this would be the moment for me to command the first officer to turn the lights off. But during daylight it's not that much of a problem. Here we go. So, there's our marshaller. And stop. Alright, so shutdown 1 and shutdown 2. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Well, and with that, welcome to Philadelphia. So the engines are running down, then we can turn the bacon off, wait for the slides to disarm. Hide the GSX menu. Slides are disarmed. Seatbelts
All
off.
doors are in park, Captain Emmanuel.
Thanks. Alright, so we do have external
now
power.
parked at the gate. On behalf of Captain Emmanuel, First Officer Jake, and the entire crew, I want to thank you for flying with us today on American Airlines Flight 1886. We hope you have a wonderful stay here in Philadelphia, or a safe journey to your next destination. It was a pleasure having you on board, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye and take care, eh?
Parking checklist. Park and breaker trucks. So the brakes should be in. Sorry, the chocks should be in and brake off. Engines off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. So let's see about it. Transponder, standby and 2000. And then down here, wheel page. Oh, just 115. I would have expected a lot higher. I would have expected a lot higher brake temperature, especially at these weights. But anyway, my friends, here we are. Welcome to Philadelphia. I do hope you all enjoyed the flight as much as I did. I surely had a blast flying this one. Now, it's up to you though. Did you like the ATC? Did you like the cabin crew? And most importantly, did you like the flight? Leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Check out Say Intentions if you liked the ATC that we've gotten today, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel. I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again right on the next one.